Hey, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Surviving Out of Spite. My name is Smith Sauer, and I'm your host. In today's episode, I got to sit down with my friend CarmenRose to talk about the complexities of what it's like living with an invisible disability. We got to explore the pressures of appearing normal, the stigma that often can accompany having hidden conditions, and the emotional toll of being misunderstood or dismissed. We talk about why it's important to find a supportive community, how to leverage social media for advocacy and connection, and we chat about the good days and the bad days of life with chronic illness. Stay tuned. All right. So, thank you, CarmenRose, for being here today. I will give you a chance to introduce yourself for those of you out there who are watching that don't know you, because I know we all follow you. So most of us, most of us know you now.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. For those that don't know, we used to work together ages ago,
Yes.
which was amazing. But just so appreciative that the disability community brought us together. Wish we weren't disabled, but at least we found each other. Carmen Rose, she, her pronouns. I am a queer Latina disability advocate living with chronic migraine, a handful of other diagnoses, but that's the main one that we focus on. Yeah, I'm really passionate about digital advocacy, talking about patient stories. Yeah, really excited to talk to you today. Get into the invisible side of everything.
Yeah, that's one thing I have talked about a few times, and why I wanted to talk to you about this in particular, because I know that this is a topic that you advocate for, in your own space as an individual advocate, and something that we say all the time here. Like, you're watching the podcast, you're listening to us talk, like, we don't look disabled. We look perfectly fine. And from an outside perspective, I understand
Totally.
that and I get it, but also, like, kind of want to say, but you don't look stupid, but that's not really the thing that you're supposed to say to strangers. So, there's that pressure too. I know that you feel it, and we kind of touched on it,
Right.
like when we were chatting back and forth about what to talk about, of
Yeah.
the pressure to perform, the pressure to not look sick
Mm-hmm.
in an environment so people take you seriously, whether it's as an advocate or just as a human being. I know you've
Yeah.
talked about that and experienced a lot of that as well.
Yeah, it's this hard balance because you want to be taken seriously. So there's part of me that like wants to look sick, which even is like, what does sick look like, right? Like, especially for chronic migraine, like, how do I physically show you that my head's pounding? Like, a lot of my symptoms are invisible, like nausea and all these things. So there's part of me that's like, oh, I want people to visibly see how sick I am, and you don't want to appear sick at work, in public. And I think oftentimes too, even when I do feel sick, there are times where like you get all those unwanted comments and the unwanted feedback and all this stuff. And it's like, you know what? I would just rather people not know and not say anything to me. And it's this interesting balance to being young and disabled, because I definitely at the start of my own disabled journey, like the first thing I had to do was unwork my own internalized ableism of like, I definitely thought when I was younger, growing up in our society, like, oh, disabled's 60 plus in a wheelchair or with
Yeah,
like a physical aid.
like rollator,
Um,
cane, something
exactly.
hunched
Yeah.
over.
Again,
Yep.
something physical that you can see.
Mhm.
So when they told me I had chronic migraine, I remember like maybe a month into my diagnosis, I met a friend online and she was like, yeah, because we're disabled. And I was like, I'm not disabled. She was like, girl, you have a migraine every single day. You can't get out of bed. You're disabled. And I was like, no, yeah, you're right, actually. And why do I have a hard time with that? And so it was my own thing of like, oh, I didn't see myself as disabled, this like young, seemingly able woman. I was like, yeah, I didn't picture that. So it took me a while to even come over, like get over that myself. But I think a lot of times, and like there'll be moments like when we're on the subway and there's the disability section, like the people, like there's like two seats, and I'll always sit down and I get stares sometimes. People are like, oh, she's not disabled. And I'm like, no, but if I can't stand this whole 45-minute ride, or else my shoulders are going to start hurting, my neck's going to start hurting, I'm going to get a migraine, like I'm going to get nauseous. I can't stand that long. But people see me and they're like, she's not disabled. And so there's times when I want to appear disabled, then I'm in spaces where I don't want to appear disabled because I worry it'll hurt my credibility, my professionalism, like people won't take me seriously. So it's this really interesting balance. And thankfully, I found the right friends, the right, workplace that appreciates my abilities and doesn't think I'm any less able because I'm disabled. But it took a while to get there. And like, And sometimes I still have to work on that. But yeah, it's this interesting balance of like I want to be taken seriously, but then I don't want to appear sick in public. So
Yeah.
it's honestly a
Yeah.
daily battle. Yeah.
It's weird. It's something like I feel that a lot too, where I'm like, I also want to forget that I have a disability,
Yeah.
right? Because not because like I'm ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it.
Mm-mm.
I have no, like whatever. It's part of who I am. It's made
Totally.
me into the person who I am. But sometimes like I want to just be acknowledged without that. But yet,
Exactly.
if you don't acknowledge me with it, I feel like you don't understand like who I actually am or what my
100%.
limitations are. But yet I don't want you to tell me what my limitations are. I want me to tell me what my limitations are. But sometimes I forget what my limitations are and I need somebody to remind me what my limitations are. And I'm just like,
100%.
it's this really weird, like we work twice as hard for, I feel like, half of what anybody else will get because
Absolutely.
you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You are
Right.
too disabled or you're not disabled enough, or you're too sick or you're not sick enough and you're just
Right.
there's so much like over
Yeah.
everything. And like you said, I think because we're so young too, and our generation, I feel like feels the need to want to belong in certain areas, which makes
Totally.
sense because as we all learned who we all kind of fit in different places. But
Mhm.
in this particular issue, we fit in so many different places that I feel like we're almost like siloed from all of those areas because you fit in each section at a
Right.
different time of your life, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes you're here, but if you fit here, you don't fit over there. So, like, where do I go?
Right.
What do I do?
100%. Yeah, and it's like it's hard to find other and that's why the online community has been so helpful because it's hard to find young disabled friends in person. And I get it
Hmm.
because again, like if you saw me walking down the street, you don't think disabled. You don't see
Yeah.
or even if you are an empathetic person and open-minded, you don't see me and think, "Oh, chronic migraine." Like it's just not visible. So it's
Hmm.
really hard to make that community in person unless it's like a curated thing. And so it's great to find people online because I'm like it's not something that's so obvious on me. Like it's obvious to a lot of people that I'm a woman. It's obvious to a lot of people that I'm young, but the disability thing, you can't see that as quickly.
Yeah.
And so it's just so helpful. And I think the thing that's been interesting with friends too is there's this balance of like if I don't look sick enough, like say that I'm supposed to have plans with a friend and I get a migraine and then I cancel the plans. And then the next day I like look fine. But honestly,
Hmm.
the day after a migraine is like a migraine hangover and I'm not doing well. And thankfully, a
Yeah.
lot of my friends told and they get it now that like just because like I couldn't hang out yesterday doesn't mean that I'm ready to hang out the next day. Like I usually
Hmm.
need 2 days, but it's this thing of like, oh, but maybe I go on a walk and I post a video of me and they're like, oh, but you look fine. Like I thought you weren't feeling well and you look fine. It's like,
Yep.
oh, what do you need me to look like? I'm like, well, I could look fine and I have nausea, my head's pounding, like I like all these symptoms, like I can't
Yeah.
see straight, like
Yeah.
but it's this interesting balance of like you have to look sick enough for people to believe you, but like you said, it's sometimes I don't want it to be the whole thing. And I love advocating online and it's something I'm really passionate about. But sometimes I get in these periods where I'm like, wow, I talk about my health all the time. It's really vulnerable. Like
Hmm.
other people don't come like if you're not disabled, you're not coming on the internet just speaking about your health history and like all these really intimate things. But I feel like I have to in order for people to believe me, in order to advocate for these things. And I'm really grateful I will continue to do it. But sometimes I do get in those periods where I'm like, wow, I just like really open a lot about my personal life. And sometimes it's exhausting. I just
Yeah.
wish you believed me when I just said like I'm disabled and that's it. I didn't have to like show everything in order for you to believe it.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to see my medical chart, my medical
Right.
bills, like how much blood they've
Right.
taken? Do you
Right.
want, like, how
Right.
much proof do you really
The
need?
long CVS receipts, like
I think migraine is a very interesting disability too, because migraine and headache are not the same. You know that. I know that. Anybody that suffers with migraines knows that. But when you
yeah.
tell someone that you have chronic migraine, they're like, oh, you mean headaches, right? Like,
Right.
you could
Oh,
take
I've had a headache
Tylenol.
before.
Yeah, like I just Tylenol, Excedrin, like ibuprofen, like can't you just suck it up and go? It's like, bro, have you ever actually had a migraine? Have you ever
No.
had pain in your head, in your body so bad that it takes you just down and there's nothing
Yeah.
you can do about it? I don't have migraines the way that you do, but I have experienced a level of chronic migraine. And it's funny, every once in a while, when mine start to get really bad, I'm like, this probably isn't even close. Isn't even close. Like, and I know how bad mine feel, and I'm like, how is she functioning as well as she is with with feeling
I
if
love
this
it
is a
because
fraction of what
my
you're
friends will
feeling?
message me, even if they don't have chronic migraine. Like, I'll have friends, and it'll be like they just maybe get one with their cycle or something, and they'll always text me like, "Girl, got a migraine today. Like, how do you do it?" And it's always so validating. I'm like, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate it because I think the people that get it, and it's like,
Yeah.
trust me, I wish it was just head pain. Like, I promise you, if it was just head pain, I'd be sweet. Like, if I could take Tylenol and Excedrin and it would work, that'd be amazing. Like, I wish it was that easy, and I promise you I wouldn't be making like who's making up all this pain that like on a daily basis on these like I promise you I don't even have enough spoons for that kind of thing. So
Yep.
it's just wild because I'm like, yeah, if it's just head pain, it's actually not a migraine. So great, that's a headache, but it's
Mhm.
a migraine when it's the other stuff, when it's
Yep.
behind one eye, when you add in the nausea, I've had migraine attacks before that actually don't have any head pain. And that was wild for me to realize that
It's
you
interesting.
actually don't have to have head pain for it to be a migraine. And I remember I used to get these really bad, it was a medicine that was giving me a side effect that like kind of changed my symptoms, but it made it where I had these really bad nausea attacks. And I was talking to my neurologist about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, those are still migraine attacks. You just don't have head pain." And I was like, "Isn't that the whole point?" She was like, "Oh no, it's any of these symptoms together. Especially if you have the condition, like you don't have to have that head pain." And oftentimes it is, but it's just so funny to me when people say it's just head pain. 'Cause I'm like, trust me, I wish it was. And if Excedrin and Tylenol worked, like that kind of stuff doesn't work for me. And even if that stuff does work for you, you can get medicine like overuse headaches. So like if you take too
Yeah.
much of those medicines, like it can make it worse.
Mhm.
So I'm like, trust me, I wouldn't be doing all these things if it was just head pain. Like I honestly, and if like I could put my feet in an ice bath or whatever all those little tricks they are. They're like, "Have you tried drinking water? Have you tried magnesium?" I mean, like anytime I tell, so I've really tried to stop telling people that aren't friends and family because then I hear about their like sister, cousin's brother that like had a migraine once and like put their feet
Magic
in ice
beans.
and like it's literally magic beans.
Have
I'm
you
like,
tried yoga?
uh, they're like, "Why don't you just stretch and drink more water?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I never thought about that in 5 years of working with my neurologist. Thank you." That's like when people are
Yeah.
like, "Why don't you just like try not to be anxious?" I'm like, cured. Thank you so much.
I
Like,
never
never
thought to
thought of
just not
that.
do it. I never thought to just
Ne-
not have a disability.
Never
Wow.
thought.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like, wow, cured. Thank you so much. Like, please, I wish. So I think it's been really great to like find people in the community because they get it. And just I think eventually too, you realize like, oh, I don't need to like convince everyone. Like, I know it's
Yeah.
real. I know like the people in my life, like they know it's real. My doctor knows what's real. Strangers on the internet know what's real better than some of my friends and family. So I'm like, it's cool. Like, but it was definitely harder in the beginning, but I've reached a point where I'm like, it's cool. I know it's real. And like, I pray that you never have to feel this one day. And the thing that's so funny when non-disabled people are being critical, so I'm like, oh, you will become disabled one day, most likely. Like, even if it's just temporarily, like you will most likely be disabled at some point. And I just hope you have that compassion one day when it comes to you. I mean, even if you break an ankle, if you get pregnant, like any of these things can be temporary disabling. And I'm like, yeah, you'll experience it one day. So I'm just grateful to have found the community that taught me like we get it, and you don't have to be older, you don't have to look disabled. Like we know it's real.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like with the disabled community and the senior community, the two communities that are treated like shit so often. And I'm like, those are two communities that you're going to end up in at some
Yeah,
point. So
yeah,
like, why are we not doing more for these communities? Because like you said, whether it's a temporary disability or a
yeah,
chronic disability, we're all it like we're older today than we were yesterday. We are all aging. Like, why are we not being
totally.
more compassionate to these communities of people?
Yeah. And I think
No
too,
one's going to
people
escape
like
it.
Right. And I also feel like some people are disabled and don't even know it because they're like, there's just such a stigma around it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
if it disables you in your daily life, like
Hmm.
your anxiety can be disabling, your depression can be disabling. Like
Absolutely.
you can go through periods, like you can have a period of like a depressive episode where it's disabling for like a month, but then you go back to having, better function and control of your life. But it's the stigma of like, ooh, disability's dirty. Ooh, it's,
Hmm.
I mean, and we know why that is. It's like, go back historically to the ugly laws and like how society has treated disabled people, like I can understand where it comes from, but I just appreciate the younger generations being like, yeah, it's not bad to be disabled. So there are so many people that they're like, they look down on me and I'm like, I would consider you disabled, but you're not ready for that conversation. I'm like, the way that you can't get out of bed because of your anxiety or like I'm like, okay. And
Yeah.
like a lot of people too, I'm like, you don't have to be in pain every day. Like that's not normal. Like you don't just have to
Yeah.
push through that. You
Yeah.
could see a doctor about that. But people are, oh, it's not that bad. Like I just whatever. I'm like, all right, whenever you're ready. Like, but you're already kind of part of this community, but whenever you're ready.
Yeah. And I think even for myself, I've been that person before
Yeah, for sure.
where I've just ignored something or acted like it doesn't exist, or like
Yeah.
I'm not that way anymore. Cause like if you call me disabled, I'm gonna be like, okay. If you're like you're not disabled, like, okay, like your opinion does
Right.
not change my experience. Like you
100%.
said earlier, I know what's real about my own life and what I have. Unless there's a reason I need to prove it to you, I don't owe
Right.
you shit. So
100%.
yeah, that's fine. I'm not good. I'm older now than I was, obviously older now when we like the
Obviously.
groups
Yeah.
started like on the internet and
Yeah.
stuff, because we kind of grew up with Facebook and the groups and the dynamics of social media. So we were there at the
Mhm.
beginning and watched the whole thing. So
Right.
now I'm like, you join a group, somebody says something, before I'd be like, let me tell you exactly what I
Right.
think, and this is what it is. I'm going to prove this and I'm going to fight with you. I'm just like, whatever. I
Right.
am keeping my energy for my own
Right. I'm
healing
like, nah, I'm gonna
because
save my
you are not
spoons.
worth it. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
if you, like you said, if you want to be in pain, if you want to be an angry human, I'm sorry for you. And I hope that this doesn't continue for you, but I
Right.
am, no, thank you. You keep your
100%.
toxic energy over
Yeah, I'm
there.
gonna
I'm
save
going to
my
keep my healing
spoons. I'm like,
energy over here.
respond on this thread or be able to brush my teeth later. I'm like, I'm gonna put my spoons over here. Like, you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine more so for you in this space because I've become more private in because I can't do a lot
I
of it
feel it.
anymore. And I
I feel
think
it.
I wish that I could. I've been more open doing this podcast, but this is a different space for me. So I'm more comfortable here. But like in my
Mhm.
personal life, because like you said, I just don't want to put that out there
It's
to
so
people that don't
vulnerable.
get it. But
Yeah.
you are very open about everything that you're going through, as we were saying earlier. Have you, or how have you dealt with, besides just ignoring it? Because in the beginning, we're not as good with that. How do you mentally kind of work your way through the people, the internet trolls, the people that you
Totally.
know are going to come out there and either not believe you, challenge you? Like, how do you mentally actually block that besides just saying no? Because they do
Yeah.
hurt. We can say that they don't hurt. We can say comments don't bother us, but at some point, to some degree, they do bother.
Totally.
They do bother us. We're human.
Yeah, no, I'm like, it makes me think of like my first viral video. I think, thankfully, I had like a lot of positivity when I started posting on social media, and I think it would have been different if I had negativity on like my first video. But I
Hmm.
thankfully had a foundation of like a really supportive community, really great friends. One of my first videos that went viral was I messed up my injection. So I do a monthly injection for migraine, and at that time,
I,
I'd
I know what video you're talking about.
exactly. I told myself I'd never cry on the internet. Here we are. But
Yep.
I'm pretty sure also leading up to that, like my injection was late. It was hard to get. I just remember going into that injection like already being like super emotionally exhausted and like
Hmm.
needed this to work. I was in a lot of pain. Like I needed my medication. And I think also we were traveling and like I might have been leaving 2 days later. So I needed this to work then. And I went to go do my injection and I always film my injection videos and I forgot to take the cap off. So I went to do it. And I also feel like they shouldn't be able to release without taking with the cap still on, but
I feel ya.
that's a separate problem.
Feel ya.
But so I went to go do it and nothing came out. And then I went and I took the cap off and all the medicine came out. And
Been there.
I just started crying like instantly. And that medication's like $1,000. I have all these coupons and all these things to make it cheaper. But I was like, okay, so if I have to get a replacement, like, do I have to pay $1,000? Like, I just instantly was crying. And I remember I stopped the video. I like was talking to my family about it, and I was like, "Yes, I'm not going to post this, obviously." And they're like, "Oh, you have to post that. Like, that's like what people don't see. Like, this is like the real experience, but people don't see that from the outside, and you can't just put up the picture perfect." And I was like, "All right." So I didn't expect it to go viral, but the interesting thing was like migraine's not the only condition that takes an injection. So there was just so many other people for other conditions and even non-injection conditions that could relate to that. Like, oh, you're so
Yeah.
tired, you messed something up. And so that was the first video where I started getting the negative comments. And people are ruthless online. I mean, I'm like, I guess we're not all raised the same and I have to recognize that, but I like the things people would say are just so ridiculous. And I think thankfully I was in a good place and, shout out to my therapist. But I like read the comments and I remember I would just like block and delete them. Like I was
Mm.
like, and I would make sure to block them because I was like, okay, I don't want you to come across my page again because clearly this isn't for you. Like this isn't your
Yeah.
kind of content. So like, let's make sure you don't land here ever again because this isn't meant for you. And I think to me, it was just a moment of realizing like, that's so interesting because I make little judgments on scrolling through social media all the time,
Mhm.
but I never take the time to be like, to comment. And if anything,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, not interested in this kind of content. But to take the time to share your negative comment on this person's post, I'm like, I'm clearly just not for you. And that's cool. You keep scrolling. Like some things that come on my For You page, they're not for me. And I'm like, cool, not interested. But to take the time to comment that on someone. So I think too, I try to reframe it in a way of like when negative things happen, especially living in New York City, like this has helped me a lot in New York City, is I try to reframe it as like, I'm really glad that I'm not that kind of person. Like I'm really
Yeah.
grateful that
It's a good
I
mentality.
can't carry that hate. And like even if I make a little judgment, I'll see things and be like, "Ooh, that's stupid," or like, "Oh, that looks weird." But I would never go take the time to comment it and like share that with that person because what does
Mhm.
that accomplish? Like what is this is my and I have to remember too, a lot of times I get in my head about like, oh, what people like or not. And I'm like, this is my social media. This is my account. My name's on the door. This is what I want to post. This is my digital diary. So if you're not interested, cool, unfollow, block, like mute. Like you're not forced to be here. And especially when a video goes viral and you get on people's pages that aren't following you, um, I think I just really had to, it was like, I just love the block and delete button. And now I block and hide. So I keep the comments for engagement. But yeah, I'll block you, real quick. Cause I'm just like, cool, this isn't for you. So like, let's not like, I don't want to land on your For You page again. I don't want to land on your thing. I wish other people could just do it themselves, but I'm just like, okay, cool, this isn't for you. And I've just started to laugh at it because it's so ridiculous what people say. Like, it's so funny. Like, I had this other video go viral a couple months ago at this point, that was about how a couple months ago, that was January, because it was my first injection of the year. I'm like, my sense of time is crazy. But I had posted that it was a really
That's okay.
expensive, right? I'm like, that was a couple weeks ago. And then I'm like, no, it was January because you hadn't hit your deductible yet. Like, that was the whole point. It's August. But I posted because my deductible had reset and my medication was like $800. And there were people in the comments like, oh, but you have a nose ring. Like, you can afford a nose ring, but you can't afford your medication. I just like the things that people say, I just like have to laugh because I'm like, what? Like, you had this thought, yeah, this is a good thought. Let me share it with the world. I'm like, you know what? I'm just glad I don't,
Yep.
I can't do that. I can't carry that hate. I can't have that effort. So it's too bad. I wish you well, but it really had to reframe it and be like, I'm just glad I'm not like that. And
Yeah, the whole if you have nothing nice to say, don't say
don't
anything at
say
all. The
anything at
golden rule, like I
all.
learned in like kindergarten, first grade, like obviously did
Yeah.
not translate into adulthood for most
No,
people.
still, I'm like, that is still a great rule. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
but yeah.
It's funny you talk about like little judgments and I try very hard when I catch myself in a judgment like that or say something where I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have chosen what she was wearing if, I looked like that, I
Right.
wouldn't have chosen that outfit or I thought what he was wearing was a little different or I don't
Yeah.
know what they did, but okay. Well, I try to catch myself and I'm like, are they happy? Does this affect my life? Like, I think about that where I'm like, if what you're doing
Literally.
is not directly impacting my life, why do I care?
Right.
If it's
If you're
if
not
it
hurting
doesn't have
yourself
that
and
impact,
anyone
it doesn't
else,
matter. Yeah.
Right. Like
When
literally. And I think too, especially with like things in the queer community are always changing. Like things like I just think with society, like there are so many new identities and ways of life that are coming out. And sometimes I don't always get it, but I'm like, if you're not hurting yourself and anyone else, I really don't care. Like you like it, I love it. So
yeah.
it's been hard, but it's like you said, like, oh, this is actually isn't negatively impacting me. Like this isn't like they didn't do it on purpose. It's not about me. I'm like,
Mhm.
whatever. And there are times too where I feel like maybe I get like upset because somebody cuts me off, and then I'll have a day where I'm running late to an appointment and I cut someone off. And so I'll have those moments where I'm like, let me have some grace because like maybe they're running late to an appointment. Maybe this is
Mhm.
their first time here. Like maybe, I'm like, whatever. Like if it's not negatively, and I think too, like being disabled, like you have such minimal energy. I've just really learned, I'm like, is it worth that spoon? I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth
I
it.
think I don't know about you, but I feel like being just in the disability community, having an illness with all of the ups and downs that I've been through, it's made me more empathetic and compassionate. But it
Totally.
but it also gives me a very short fuse. I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed. And as I've gotten older and I've learned a little bit more, I've also started to realize where I'm just like in the point of I don't have time for this. And if this is
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing, if this is what's happening, like I just do not have time for this and I don't want to do it.
Absolutely.
So that's fine.
Absolutely. It really makes you rethink your energy and what you put energy towards. Um, and yeah, I honestly like
Yeah.
I've gone through periods, like especially in the first year or two of my diagnosis, like I definitely had periods where I was really angry, where I was really bitter, where like, and I
Yeah.
mean the society in general and like
It's a
physical
cycle.
pain. Like, and I
Yeah.
remember maybe 2 years ago, my partner had sat me down and we had this conversation where she was like, I feel like you're changing a little bit and you're getting a little negative and like totally understand why. And like, it's not invalid, but I just want you to know, like, this is how it's changing. And I'm a little bit worried about you. And she's like, I'm not going anywhere, but like, I like want you to be happy. And it was this really eye-opening
Yeah.
conversation for me because I'm like, oh, like I have every right to be angry and I have every right to be upset. And at my core, like I know who I am and I don't want to change that. And I'm allowed to be in pain. I'm allowed to be upset. And like when I have those days, it's so valid. And if I have those days 5 days in a row, that's valid. Also, sometimes I'm like, I can't let it win because it is chronic. So like it's here for life. So I got to figure out
Yeah.
how to live with her somehow and like be good roommates and get along because like she's not going anywhere. And I don't want to fight with you for the rest of my life. All right, let's
Yeah.
learn how to get along and like make the best of it. And like, it's really hard though. So I remember like in the beginning when people would say that to me, I'm like, it must be so nice. Like, that's like, it's hard to hear in the beginning if you're not there yet. So it's like if you're still in that angry phase, valid. Don't rush it. You don't got to get out of it anytime soon. It's so valid and it comes in waves. But it's also like I think it's just like the getting older and having the disability longer that I'm like, okay, this isn't going anywhere. So how do I make the best of it? And like, how do I really amplify those moments of joy? Like, sure, there were hard times, but like, let me like that walk that I had with my partner, like that was really great. Like finding those
Mhm.
micro moments of joy. And I've seen a lot of people talk about that and I didn't understand it at first. And then I'm like, oh, I see what you mean. Like, yeah, I had a really hard day and I was in bed with a migraine all day, but that meal was really great or that walk was really great. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And every day's different too. So,
Yeah. It's funny. It's ups and downs with the moments of joy or good days.
mhm.
And in the last couple years, like I felt the first year of my marriage, my poor husband, like he got to really get and like we've been together for a while and he really like had to see how bad things got. And in that time frame of getting better, and then getting worse than where I
Yeah.
was before I got a little bit better, I, like, went to that dark place of I just wish I never got better, because now
Right.
this second time around feels so much worse. It hurts
Right.
so
Because
much
you
worse
know what
this
it's
time.
like to be better.
Ex
So, like, having
exactly.
that to
So
compare it against, yeah.
it ruined my psyche a little bit,
Mhm.
and I still have some days where I feel multiple things. And I've learned over the years too that you can feel more than one thing at once. You don't have to pick one emotion. You don't have to pick one thing. You don't have to stay in one camp. And it took me forever to realize that I didn't have
Yeah.
to be one thing. I can be happy and
Yeah.
sad. And this is how I've kind
Yes.
of dealt with that, because I'm grateful for the good days. I'm grateful for any day that I can eat without nausea or limited nausea, or
Right.
I'm not throwing up, or I don't have a migraine, or I don't have these issues. But then I feel guilty that I have the good days, because I'm like, I know that there are people who don't get good days. And then I feel
Totally.
like now a bad day feels worse because yesterday was really good. So now I'm like, well, screw this. Like, why did I even have to have a good day? Now I'm even more bitter about this bad day. And then I catch myself and I'm like, okay, pity party, have it, feel all of
Right.
it, let it out. I'm a big proponent of just sitting in your shit. Hopefully
Mm-hmm.
not literally. Just
Right.
sit in your
But if you
shit,
gotta do that too,
deal
that's
with it.
okay.
It's fine. We don't judge here. you
Yeah.
know. It's it's in that space of where
Yeah.
I started to heal by allowing myself to say I'm having these negative thoughts or I'm having these feelings. And I think
Yeah.
so much of that too goes back to what we said in the beginning. You aren't obvious. Things aren't
Yeah.
obvious. Things are changing. Everything is so dynamic. There's the good days, there's the bad days. You don't know what day you're going to have when you get up in the morning, so you can't prepare for everything. And we're
Totally.
constantly having to adapt to survive. And people don't get that
Totally.
unless you get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, 100%. A few things came up for me when you were talking about that. One, that I don't know about you, but again, shout out to my therapist, something I identified was I had a lot of fear with migraine. So even when I did get better and I had good days, I usually was really scared, okay, when's the next pin gonna drop? Like, when's the other shoe drop? I just was waiting for the pain to start again. And there was a lot of times where I would avoid things because maybe I didn't have a migraine and somebody invited me to a movie, but I was scared that taking the subway, going downtown, watching the movie would start one. So I would just avoid it. And there was a lot of times that I was avoiding stuff out of fear. And it made sense for a little while. And when I was really sick, I understood why I was worried about things. But eventually, too, you have to get back out and just try things and not let it control how you live. But there's so
Yeah.
much fear with it. And so I just have to remember, I have to recognize when is this fear productive and when is it not? Yeah, sure, there are times that I should, okay, if I want to go to the movie, let me bring my meds, some water, some of these things. I can
Mm-hmm.
prepare and accommodate myself, but just not letting that fear be a dangerous thing that's getting in the way. And then another thing I really like that you said is the and again, shout out to my therapist. Moral of the story is shout out to my therapist. But just
Yes.
that and is life changing. She taught me that a couple months ago. She was like, yeah, you can feel that and this can be true at the same time. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, you're right. Because I'd be like, I'm
It
really
feels
happy for
funny,
this.
right?
And I'm having a hard time. She's
Yeah.
like, cool, those are both valid. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. And it's so freeing to realize, yeah, I can be really, really exhausted and happy about these things. And I can be in pain. And I had this beautiful moment today. Those two things can coexist at the same time. And it's really
Yeah.
important that you give those things space. Because, like you said, I just think I'm the biggest believer in sitting in your shit too. Because I'm like, if you don't give things, your feelings and emotions the right space, they don't just go away. And a lot of people think oh, I just push it away and
Very
it'll
true.
go away. And you just put it in a box and then you're putting it in this room and you might have the door shut and you might not be accessing it, but eventually the room's getting more and more full and eventually you got to pull that shit out and recognize it. And I really think my the biggest cause of my chronic migraine is a lot of unprocessed stuff in my own childhood. I'm it
Mm.
doesn't just go away and just leave your body. I'm again, I would love if it did that. That'd be great. I wouldn't have to see my
It'd be
therapist.
nice.
But yeah, but your body remembers these things and holds on to it, and you got to feel the feelings, you got to process the emotions and give yourself that. And even if you can't do it now, cool, put a pin in it and I'll come back to it later, but you got to feel those feelings and process it or else it's going to come back physically.
Yeah. I don't know if I've said it actually on here yet, but one of the things I learned in like a group therapy years ago, and it can be applied to many different emotions, but it was like denial is a place that you visit, not a place that you live. Like how sometimes you
Mm,
need to kind of put up a protective barrier to let yourself get through something. And you can visit that. That's okay, but you have to come home. And
I
to
like
me,
that.
it's kind of the same idea where like you can sit in that. You can be negative. Like you said, you have every
Yeah,
right in the world to be angry and to be sad
totally.
and to feel all of those feelings, but staying there is not going to get you anywhere. And
Totally.
it's not to say like live in toxic positivity and pretend everything is
Right.
fine. It's like, no,
Not
go feel
that.
your feelings.
Yeah,
Go over there, go talk about how shitty this is. Be vulnerable. Let it hurt you to a degree that's only uncomfortable, not unsafe. And then come
exactly.
home, work through that
Exactly that.
because like you said, if you don't actually let it out or find a place that is safe to put it, it didn't go anywhere. It's
It
sitting
didn't go
inside
in.
us. It's sitting with us trying to heal. And it's like you're just constantly letting that happen. And it's not easy to do. Like there's no way
Oh,
where
no.
one day you just all of a sudden are like, hey, I'm mentally like completely perfect.
Right.
No, we're talking years of therapy. Like I know
Sure
you've
are.
been through it,
Yep.
I've been through it. It's not something that we're like, "Hey, you can just decide to do this one day." But you do have to decide to start. And I think that
100%.
getting into that, dealing with this, there's so many different pieces of living with a disability, living with an invisible disability that are so life changing. And not just the disability itself, it's all of the other things that you don't realize
Oh,
come
yeah.
with it. The impact on your social life, the impact on your physical life, the impact on your romantic life, your emotional life, your work life, and all of those things around it. And there are days that you feel like it's just too much. And those days can really break you. But I think
Mhm.
in this space, if you find something, even if it's denial for a day or two,
Yeah.
even if it's, just that's why I want to go to a rage room, like real, I want to break
Right?
some shit. And I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
go do something to go literally physically get it off of me.
Yeah.
But, sometimes I just need to talk it out. And it's
100%.
literally getting out of me. I need to physically get it out of me to go do something. That's why running became such a thing for me because it was something
Mm.
for me physically to do that
Yeah.
helped me work through doing that. But the days that running does not work for my body, I had to pivot and find something else. So it's like you have to have a bunch of different tools in your toolbox to get you through
Totally.
whatever the shit that you are going to deal with.
Totally. And I feel like what's been really helpful is there's a lot of times when you're in those low points that you think, okay, it's just me. Like I'm the only one that deals with this. I'm alone. Again, because it's invisible. So I might walk on the street and there's five other people that actually totally get it, but I don't physically see that on them. And
Hmm.
so that's what I also appreciate about social media because whenever I have felt like I'm alone in something and I've posted it online, I find so many people can relate to that. And
Yes.
I've also felt like they're alone in that too. And that because again, the things you mentioned, like how it affects you in work, how it affects you in your relationships, like that is also invisible. People aren't seeing that on a day to day. Like I have a great job, but I also recognize like I might have been farther along in my career if I didn't have this disability. Like I definitely had to
Yep.
make certain choices in my career based on disability and like who would accommodate me the best and like staying somewhere because they have really great culture and these different things that I'm making decisions with my disability in mind that I wouldn't have if I didn't. And it's definitely impacted friendships. I mean, thankfully now again, like years into this, I'm at a better place and I've like kind of cut the people that it didn't work for, but that's hard because there's especially becoming disabled, like having friends from high school and college and then becoming disabled and then those friends don't exactly fit in the same. And I think what I've realized, and it was really hard in the beginning, but I've realized like the right people will get it. And if they don't get it, then they're not the right people. And that's really hard, but it's fine. Like some people are there for a season and a reason, and some people aren't. And I think it's really hard, but when somebody gets it and like is validating, like when I send that text like, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to make it. I have a migraine. And like there will be times where like I'm getting ready to meet a friend and I'll get a migraine and I'm like, oh, I should just go. Like it's just so bad. So when I have those friends that are like, no, it's fine. Like I don't want you to come if you don't feel
Yeah.
well, if you're not going to be having a good time. That reading messages like that, I'm like, Oh, it's like so healing. Like I just can't
Yeah.
emphasize enough people at the beginning of their journey. Like it might seem hard and maybe it's just one or two friends and that sucks and I wish you had more, but the right people will get it and you
Hmm.
won't have to overextend yourself. You won't, I mean, I've had friends that like go out of their way and ask me like, "Hey, I know we're doing something later. Like, how can I accommodate you?" I had a friend that she was
Those are
having a
the
wedding
best
and she
friends.
right? And she
Mhm.
texted me, my friend was getting married and she was like, hey, so I'm seating you in India as far away from the DJ as possible. Like the lighting's good over there. We're not going to have strong scents. Like, is
Oh,
there anything else? And I was like, so you're telling me you already thought of some things for me and you're just
that's
making sure that
amazing.
I was like so floored. And when I see that, I'm like, that's how it should be. And that's how we should
Hmm.
all have it. But that's not what we all get all the time. And that's not the standard, but that's how it should be. And like, don't stop looking for friends until you have that. Cause there are people out there that will give you that. And I think that's what I appreciate about the online community and connecting with people that are in different states and different countries. Some of my closest friends now are people that I've met in person once or never met ever.
Hmm.
You know, I just interact with them online and I feel like they know me better and understand me better than somebody I've had in my life
Yep.
physically for 10, 15 years.
Yep.
So it's really taught me a lot too about like you don't have to physically be in person to connect and really get it. And when you meet somebody else that like you just don't like when you don't have to explain it, that's the thing too about the invisible thing. I feel like a lot of times I have to explain so much to be believed. I'm like, well, you don't just see that I'm in pain, so I have to tell you. So by the way, right now I'm in
Mm.
pain and I have nausea, and I'm like, oh, this is so exhausting. I have to explain. So when you're with a disabled person, that they're just like, I get it, and I'm like, oh, I had like a whole another 2 paragraphs prepared that I
Yeah.
don't have to say. I'm like, oh,
Save a
cool.
spoon. Save a
No,
spoon.
literally save a spoon. Like, I just appreciate how the disabled community, it's like they get it. And across conditions, like there's so many people that, yeah, I connect with a lot of chronic migraine people, but the experience of being disabled in America and having to navigate our healthcare system, like
Hmm.
patients across the board feel that and can relate to that, you know?
Yeah, I think it really is great. And I know like we've only been physically together once.
Yeah,
I think, right? I'm not like
100%. Yeah.
completely forgetting forgetting another
That
time.
could be true. But yeah, one time, and
But
yeah,
we're not that far away from each other either. But again, it doesn't make it conducive to actually like say, hey, let's go do this or let's go do that.
right.
There's a process for you and or for me to get to the other side of what it's like 3 hours I
Right.
think
And then by the
for
time
us
we
for
get
the
there,
city.
I probably wouldn't feel well. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, actually, I could talk to you and connect with you more often if we can do it virtually than if
Yeah.
is it it's in if it's in person, it's like once a quarter,
And
maybe.
I'm
And then
like,
again,
do
like
I have to?
no, literally, I'm like, oh, I hope they cancel. I hope they cancel. Like, but I'm like, but if I can talk to you from the comfort of my home in my pajamas,
Hmm.
then I'm like, yeah, I could talk to you way more often. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate virtual connection.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of, it might be the older generation, won't talk too much shit, but, where they look at it, they're like, they're online friends. Like, they can't be your real friends. Like, you have to be in person. I'm like, actually, no, I really don't. Like, these
Yeah.
people, like you said, they know me better. And I work virtually. I know you do to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
but you do have some in-office stuff. But, like, the
Yeah.
people that I've worked with, I'm like, I spend so much time with them not in person. Like, we were
Yeah.
talking about gym earlier, I think in the last, I don't even know, maybe decade or more, it's been like 5 or 6 times that we've been,
Yeah,
like,
same with him.
in a
I've met
room
him
at the same
once.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like in person once, but I'm like, but that's like my uncle. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
It's because you just get to know people, and this community can be just so overwhelmingly welcome and give you
yeah,
a space that you were searching for, because when you get that disability, your whole life is just turned upside down and you just don't know where to go, and this community can just be so welcoming. And that's what we're
totally,
hoping to continue with here. Talk about the things that people don't talk about, really say what you need to hear, maybe say the hard things out loud, be a little bit more vulnerable, and remind you that there are people out there like you that get it and will not judge you, or at least we'll do it silently and then get mad at ourselves for doing it, but we'll never let you know
right,
or feel
right.
bad about it.
Yeah, and of
you
course
know
not.
we'll be
Yeah,
your friends.
no.
That's what we're here for.
Honestly, the best relationships I've made have been from social media, and some with people that we have the same condition, and some not. my two closest friends from the disabled community, one of them lives like 45 minutes an hour away in Jersey, and another's like a couple hours drive away in Baltimore. And we've met in person one time, but we text every single day, all the time. And also there will be periods where we don't text, or somebody sends something and we don't reply for 3 days. But there's just, and sometimes it's just texting being like, I had a really shit day and I'm in a lot of pain and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
eating, but I'm having a hard time. So like texting for accountability. And I genuinely feel closer to those people than people I've known my whole life, because there's just this part of me that they see, and just not having to explain it. Like, I'm just like, "Oh, I'm having a really hard day with eating." And they're like, yeah, I get it, blah, blah, blah. Here's some, have you tried having a smoothie? Have you tried having a protein shake? Like, whatever. And I think too, what I really appreciate about disabled friends is I think non-disabled friends a lot of time like want to make it better and like want to give you
Mm-hmm.
solutions, and like, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried this? And sometimes it's like, oh, no, 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 I know especially this many years into my condition, I'm like, oh, I know the things to do and I know how to take care of myself. And I just want to say that like today was hard and like I'm in
Yep.
pain and it sucks.
Yep.
And I appreciate the friends that instead of trying to be like, oh, and but you're so blessed with this and this and that, and try to put the toxic positive spin on it, we're like, yeah, that sucks. And like, or we'll often vent about bad doctor's appointments and like, oh, I had to like
Yeah.
go to the doctor and of course they dismissed me, but like I gotta go because I need the care. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks and I'm sorry you have to deal with this system, instead of being like, oh, you should find a new doctor and you should, but no, because that's a ton of work. And that's like, then you're not going to get another appointment for a couple months. And it's like just
Yep.
having the people that are let you sit in that and don't try and like toxic positivity it away and just validate it. Yeah, the online community is incredible. And I remember when I became disabled and my therapist was like, oh, look for support groups and look for that. And it felt kind of cheesy at first, but then
Mm-hmm.
eventually you find the right, and maybe you don't stay in the group, but you like find the one or two people that you really like. And
Yeah.
once you find those people, it's like, it's really life changing, honestly.
Yeah. You know, what you were saying reminds me of something that like my husband and I try to do. It's like, do you need a hug? Do you need advice? Or do you just need like to vent? Like, what do you need?
Yes, yes,
Because
we do the
like you
same
said,
thing.
sometimes like I do want your advice and
Yeah,
I'll word vomit all over him and he'll be like, do you want my
yeah,
advice? And I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you. You know, it's like, this is what I needed to get it out, but now I want something, you know, I want to hear what you have to say. Or do you just want a hug? And that the
yes,
understanding of that, because I don't think I ever realized that people do just want to fix it. And now, like, I think about myself and
100%.
I'm like, oh my God, do I do that to people? Like, because I am that person. Like, I don't like it when
Yeah,
someone's
it's
in pain. So I
natural.
want to fix it. Right. But I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, so now I need to remember that that's not always what somebody
a
needs to.
hundred
They just
percent.
want to be in their shit and they just know that you get it. So they just want to share it with
Yeah,
you.
I love that you guys do that because we do it too. Like, I'll start something and I'll be like, hey, I just want to share this and I just want to be heard. Or, hey, I'm going to share this and I do want advice. Like, I want your opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it is that, like, look, I just want to be heard. And, like, I think especially for our partners, like, with your partner, of course, they want to make it better. Like, whenever she tells me something, I always want to
Absolutely.
fix it and make it better. Like, you're my favorite person in the world. So it's natural, but that's really important to be like, look, and I just want to be heard. Like, I just want to, like, wallow in this for a second. And so, make asking other people that too, like, great, do you want any advice or do you just want me to sit here and be an ear and listen? And
Yeah.
that's really helpful too.
Yeah. No, definitely. Well, thank you very much for joining me
Hmm.
today.
Thank
And it was
you.
great chatting with you. This was a great excuse to just be like, hey, you want to talk about some shit for a little while?
Right?
So
When you
thank
asked
you
me to
for
do the
doing
podcast,
this.
I'm like, oh, we'll just hop online and hang out. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. That's what online friends are for, right?
Literally. I love it. I'm so glad.
Me too.